All right, hey everyone. Welcome back to Dentistry's Got Talent. This is not actually part of the talent competition. Instead, we've invited 3 major dental influencers onto the stage to give us some advice, some insight, and some of your own personal stories about how you got from where you started to where you are now as a dental influencer. Now, for those of you who are in the audience and those of you who are at home, what is a dental influencer? This is a person that's very visible in the dental community, in the dental industry, and it's a person who a lot of people listen to. And now, me for one, as a pretty amateur speaker, I've always wanted to be somewhat of a dental influencer, and so it's very valuable for me to hear from these people as to how they got to where they got. So, let's start off. We'll start off from my left and down to my right. So we'll start with you, Katrina Sanders. Tell us in about 30 seconds who you are and what you do.
Hello, I am Katrina Sanders. I am, my brand is the Dental Wine Genist. I am a dental hygienist and a level 1 sommelier. And really all you need to know is I'm a dental hygienist who loves to drink wine and talk about dentistry. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome. So those of you who are dental hygienists, the way to become an influencer is to drink a lot of wine.
I'm
awesome.
under the
easy.
influencer. Boom.
You're right. Okay, Victoria Peterson, go ahead, tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'm Victoria Peterson, launching a new podcast called Building an Investment Grade Practice. I'm the co-founder of Productive Dentist Academy, along with my partner, Dr. Bruce Baird. Started my career as a dental hygienist and ended, well, I don't think this career will ever end, but most recently, one of the very few hygienists who actually own dental practices. I started a small group of 5 practices in the great state of Wisconsin. Yay! Quickly learned that I didn't fit in with fried cheese curds. So I'm someone who likes to take it all on and teach through experience. So I had a lot of experiences in dentistry. What a great field.
Excellent, thank you. And then this is Martell Koch.
Yes.
Tell me, Martell,
okay.
a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Martell Koch, the founder of Brown Girl RDH, which is a nonprofit organization that gives scholarships to minorities, and our mission is to increase diversity within the dental hygiene profession because minority dental hygienists are only represented at 3%, and men are only represented at 1%. So I'm just happy to be up here with 2 scholarship donors. Both of them donated onto the scholarship fund. And last year alone, right in the middle of a pandemic, we were able to award 16 students, and they got over $50,000 in scholarships.
Well, that's amazing. All right, well done. So Martell, you said that 1% of the entire hygiene industry is men or men of color?
Men of color are even, it's even a smaller
So it's even a
percentage.
smaller percentage,
Yes.
men of color who are in dental hygiene?
Yes.
Okay. That's wonderful. Excellent. Thank you for being up here on stage. I'm going to ask just a couple questions that are relevant to me. Hopefully, they're relevant to some of the people that are in the audience. And question number 1, what do you say to a person who is not comfortable or not savvy with social media if they want to increase their visibility, but they're not very good at Facebook or not very good at Instagram, and they're just uncomfortable with seeing pictures of themselves on the web? Why don't we start with you, Victoria?
Because I'm the least comfortable on social media. I would say, first of all, start posting on other people's groups and become active and find your voice that way. And then it'll give you courage. And make the first video, even if it's 15 seconds. Do a live video. That's where I started, my comfort level. And I love what Catherine Eitel said. There's the talk you gave, the talk you thought you should have given. That's how I always feel on Facebook Lives, but just do it. You know, if you don't like it, you can always delete it, you know. But
so just do it. Okay. Now, when you say contribute to other people's pages, what you're essentially trying to say is you don't have to make yourself this big bravado part of Facebook. Just help out other people who are posting questions. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think influence can happen in a whisper.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent.
So the right word at the right place could change everybody's life. So if you've got something to contribute, contribute. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be on your platform.
Now, one more question, still with you, is you said just do a video. So Do I just like wake up in the morning, make my coffee, and then just like talk about stuff? Like what would that video entail?
I have a private Facebook group called Resilience with Victoria that I started during COVID. Yeah, sometimes I will go in my backyard where the birds are singing, and I don't even put the camera on myself. I just wake up and I say, anybody who needs a boost of resilience this morning, the birds are waking up, the sun is shining, you can hear the goats in the field. If something uplifts me and inspires me, I'll post it in our resilience group. There are the selfie. I'm not as comfortable on camera, so I kind of do a blended
That's
version.
excellent. How many of you out there are a little uncomfortable with the vulnerabilities that come with social media? Okay, so it looks like about half of the people raise their hands. What about you, Katrina? Is there something that you would recommend if people are uncomfortable with that? What would you recommend? How would they start?
Yeah, so a few things. First of all, the people that are on the other side of social media or on the other side of the camera are oftentimes feeling the same things that you are. I find when I look at my post analytics, the posts that are actually very successful are the ones where I'm being completely honest, where I am being raw. Those are the people that come out of the woodworks and say, wow, your post really resonated with me. And that, I think, is where influence really begins, is in being able to connect with people as human beings first and foremost. The posts that are most successful on my page are not the most attractive photos of me. They're not the curated ones where I have like an amazing headshot. They're me sweaty and gross in the operatory, and then putting together a really verbose post about the stressors of what it's like being in the operatory, and then having a message about why it's so important that we continue to do what we do. So I guess my piece of advice would be, know that the people on the other side are absolutely wanting the message that you have to share. And the more vulnerable, the more that you peel those layers back truly, the more that people feel like they know you and they feel very connected to you.
So I want to point something out. I'm not very active on Facebook. I'm not very active on social media. Thank you. But you posted something to a speaker group at some point, maybe a couple months ago. And it was about an audience member who was being rude to you. And for somebody like me who doesn't pay a lot of attention to that, I remember that post. I remember, and that's how I knew you. You're Katrina Klein. You're the one who posted that post. And so that means a lot because that put you in a very vulnerable position.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that's the idea too, is reaching out to our colleagues, because again, we all are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
The posts that do really well are the ones where you're saying, this is what I'm experiencing. Speak to it with grace, you know, not unkindness. Speak to it with love, but do so while also eliciting and asking people, how would you respond in this way? Or what have you experienced with patients? That's where people really can connect and say, absolutely, I've been through this, and wow, you know, now we're collaborating, now we're creating a conversation.
And it did seem like that went. Now, Martel, I have a question for you. And this goes to making it so that your influence extends beyond minorities, so that people who are supportive of minorities, who want to see a more diverse workplace, how is it that a person who is not a brown girl might still have interest in the Brown Girl Network?
Brown Girl RDH.
Brown Girl RDH. So as a brown boy who's not in RDH, how do you create interest for people outside of that particular label?
Yeah, I think it's like Katrina said, being vulnerable, being yourself, and actually connecting because you're real. So people connect to that. So you're not a girl, I mean, you're brown, but you're going to connect to me if I share a story about how I helped someone else, or how I was down, or how I made it and was persevered through whatever I had to do. And I feel like most people in general relate, because dental hygiene school is hard. So we're all relating because we have that common denominator. Now, whatever your struggle was, maybe mine was financials, but yours may have been you didn't have the support that you needed. So just finding that community and connecting that way, I feel like.
How many of you feel like you would like to contribute to her scholarship fund right now? Those of you who are watching from home, hey, listen, our workplaces, let's make them colorful. Let's make our workplaces represent our society. I think that's great. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, because of the limitations of time and the limitations of the amount of people we can have on stage because of social distancing, what we're going to do is ask these three lovely ladies to leave your mics on your seat, and then we're going to ask 4 other influencers to come up onto the stage, and I'm going to ask you for a whole new set of questions. Sound good? Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have influencer panel number 2. Let's welcome these 4 influencers onto the stage right now. Okay, so for a lot of people who are in dentistry, those of you who are listening from home, those of you who are sitting in the audience right now, you ask yourself, how do I go from where I am as an influencer with a small circle to going to where these 4 fine people are, influencers with a larger circle? So I want to first, before I ask you all my questions, I want to first give you a chance to introduce yourself, where you are in the industry. Maybe take about 30 to 45 seconds. And why don't we start with you, Deborah?
I'm Deborah Carrier. I'm a practicing dental hygienist. I'm the co-founder of the CPR Sisters, and I'm the founder and CEO of Twice as Nice Uniforms. Started my company 5 years ago, knew absolutely nobody in dentistry, and I kind of named my tactics for influence no goal networking, and I just have networked with the entire dental world and got me where I am today.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Hannah Mansour. I own a multi-million-dollar practice in Gilbert, Arizona. I have a lot of passion in what I do. I do a lot of surgery, lasers, guided, digitalized guided surgery. So I teach all of that, and I have courses specifically to help improve dentists that want to be passionate about what they do and fall in love with dentistry again.
Great. And how about you, Wendy?
Very good. So I'm Wendy Briggs. I'm a speaker, author, hygienist is not really how I began my dental career. I started as a dental assistant, but that's when I started to speak and write and network and all of that. So that's been a great ride. I've been a dental hygienist for probably longer than I care to admit now, and have been working, consulting, and working with amazing dental professionals all across the country for the last 20 years.
So would you say that your clients, the ones that you consult with, are they primarily dentists, dental hygienists, or is it the entire offices that you are, I guess, wrapping your arms around?
Yeah, for sure. So initially, when I first started consulting, I founded Hygiene Diamonds, and our focus at that point was mainly hygienists, hygiene providers. But as we know, as hygiene goes, so does the rest of the practice. So hygiene really is the lifeblood that feeds everything else. Therefore, about 12 years ago, I founded a second consulting company called the Team Training Institute. And Hygiene Diamonds supplies all the hygiene components for the Team Training Institute. But I have an amazing partner in TTI, Dr. John Meese, who's an incredible mentor to dentists as well. So now we have really the entire platform. We teach a practice success loop, and there's something for every single team member along that loop that we focus on helping them develop.
Excellent. And then what about you, Doctor? Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what makes you an influencer. And don't be humble. Don't be humble. You can't just be like, well, I'm just a regular guy who is a fan of the Wisconsin Badgers. Come on, brag a little bit.
Thank you, Ankur, for giving me the opportunity to talk about myself. Appreciate that. But first, let me just say and apologize to Katrina. I'm sorry I was that rude person in the audience. I was just...
It was you?
Well...
You're famous.
Sorry. And as a white boy, there's no place I would rather be than in Brown Girl RDH. So, Martell, love you. And your story. Man, you can't just have Martell give the 30-second story of her story. If you've ever heard her story, you need to hear her story. Okay. So, I'm Chris Kammerer, Wisconsin Badger. Yay, go Badgers, love Wisconsin. Vicky had practices there. She never hired me. She didn't get a chance. She Cameron, don't talk about me. She said, no, sorry. No, I love Vicky. Known her a long time. So, okay, let's see. I was blessed to be a child of God. Thank you, Lord, for making me the son of Jack and Lois Kammer. First of all, my mother's got a whole other story supporting my father, but my dad founded the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. So with that in mind, watching him found that organization, be president, run it, I said, I am never going to start an organization. Stuff is whack. There's politics, and I'm not giving you the answer you were hoping for. I'm sorry.
No, keep on going. Keep on going. This is great.
But I got so moved by the world at large starting to discover that your mouth health impacts your body health. And I was very disappointed that the ADA just had a blind eye to it. As recently as 2 years ago, they had a guest editorial saying, is it too early to be talking about the oral systemic connection? That confirmed to me that I did the right thing 10 years ago and started the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health. So,
That's good. Well done.
thank you. And so that's kind of my story. I loved cosmetic dentistry. I still love giving people beautiful smiles, but right now I'm starting a new movement. I've kind of moved from the oral systemic to my new thing is healing and halting decay. I'm starting a movement, and it is this. Okay, now that sounds crazy. I get it. But it's going to be a whole brand new lane in dentistry where you don't use a drill. I opened the first practice in the country a year ago with no drill, no shots, no lasers, no air abrasion, only healing and halting decay in the most kind and humane way. Thank you.
So that's amazing. Okay, two things. Number one is him and I, we still say whack. Like, oh, look at that over there. That's whack. Like, I can imagine there's some people here who we weren't even like, you weren't even born when people used whack. So thanks for being wiggity whack. Next thing is, I think about it sometimes, when I'm holding a drill, and that burr it's rotating at like 5 billion RPMs. And I just think of how much of a barbarian I am by basically taking that thing and like plowing it into somebody. And so what you're doing, that's groundbreaking. And so you don't have time to talk about it today, sadly, but I think a lot of people really want to hear about it. So Deborah Carrier, your company, Twice as Nice Uniforms, you basically brought that from the ground up, correct?
Correct.
And now dental professionals are being faced with no longer being able to wear professional attire into the workplace.
Correct.
Because of COVID, people are not as, they're discouraged from wearing their street clothes into work. How does your particular line of clothing help minimize some of the COVID fear?
So when I started my company 5 years ago, several people said to me, we think you're about 5 years ahead of yourself. Yeah. I patented temperature regulating uniforms because I was tired of the thermostat wars in the office. Little did I know that 5 years later, a pandemic was going to make temperature regulating uniforms even more important because of the added PPE that we had to add to that. So that's what I started with 5 years ago, were temperature regulating uniforms. I realized quickly that we did not have a uniform company that represented dentistry and our needs in dentistry. So then I started adding other products to my line that were cookie cuttered for what we need in dentistry. And then, of course, when COVID hit, then I went right back to the drawing board, and I was on the phone with the CDC, and I was on the phone with OSAP. What do I need to do for my dental people to make it safe for them to go back to work when it's time to go back to work? So we added gowns, and we added surgical caps, and a whole bunch of masks and everything else. And everything is temperature regulating, because I know you guys are sweating to death with all that PPE on.
Yeah, that's very relevant. It's really relevant now with a face shield and everything like that. It gets hot. For those of you who sit on a saddle stool, it pulls things up a little bit too much. And a saddle stool is great. It keeps your back straight. But I don't like it when I have to get up and pull my pants out of my bad things. And so products like yours really, they make a huge difference. So Dr. Mansour, I got a question for you. You educate dentists. You go out, you take dentists like me who do bread and butter stuff, and you educate them to take it to another level.
Yeah.
What do you think, now think about this, you can take a second to think about.
Okay.
What do you think is the cutting edge thing that not all general dentists are doing now and really should be doing?
Well, it depends on what their passion is. So I found my passion to be surgery, so I do a lot of surgery, and I take over 200 continuing educations per year because I really enjoy what I do. It's like my passion. And so as much as I teach, I also learn from the best, and I come back and I invest that in my practice to help help me close those bigger cases, like the implant cases or the big surgical cases, the big veneer cases. So as much as I'm learning, I also like to invest back in my practice, and that's how I grow. So I find that to be, just where my passion is, because when I change someone's smile and someone's life, it's so powerful. My patients, when I present them with their smile mock-up, they cry. I cry with them. So we have a very powerful profession, and a lot of dentists sometimes want to give up. They don't want to, take it to the next level. A lot of it is just because they don't want to invest in themselves. They kind of just want to do the, bread and butter dentistry. So I encourage you out there to go in and invest more in more courses. Keep on learning, because that's the best way for you to improve yourself.
I want to actually make a comment about that, because a lot of my audience is young, really young dentists, people out of school, etc. And their go-to excuse is, you don't get it, Dr. Gupta. We have way, way too much debt. We have so much debt. Right. We can't spend the money on continuing education. We can't take time off of work to go get educated, because look at us, we're in so much debt. What would you say to a person who says that to you?
I have had a lot of people tell me that, and it's very true. That's the biggest struggle. So you just have to trust that the money will come in. Because if you don't have the confidence as a dentist to present a big treatment plan and close that treatment plan with confidence, I am very confident closing a treatment plan that's between $30,000 to $80,000. I present that financially to the patient, and I close it because I'm confident in my skills. So if you don't have the skills to help you close those big treatment plans, I don't think you're gonna be doing just bread and butter the rest of your life. And that's okay if you enjoy it, but I think we have so much more to offer in dentistry.
Well, as an old guy, doing bread and butter, after a couple decades go by, it starts to hurt. And so learning new things can be very saving for the body. Yeah. Wendy, we're gonna end with you. Okay, so your institute is called the Team Training Institute. And I want you to address dentists and dental teams that are out there that are in a position where there's two employees and they're valuable employees. They're skilled, but they can't get along. How would you address that?
Yeah, it's a super important question. And
I give you like 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. It's very prevalent right now as well. So I would say in that instance, we really haven't given the team clarity on the core values and the mission of the practice. Yeah. We always say that we prefer teamishness above selfishness. So I think those team members need to really sit down and remind them, what are our core values of the practice? If we have a core value of excellence or teamwork or whatever the core values are stated, I think many practices don't know how to lead with those values. And in that instance, we would remind both team members, one of our core values is teamwork. And recently, your behavior, both of you, has been in conflict with that value. And a reminder of what the mission and the vision is for the practice. Our vision is to improve the dental health of our patients. Therefore, we have to have teamwork. So you need to figure out how you're going to fix this, because this behavior is in conflict with our core values, and it will not continue. And then initiate the conversation, see if they can find some common ground. And what I find when we have stated core values is that usually people will rise to the level of expectations, but if they're not comfortable with that, if they don't value teamwork, if they don't value excellence, they will deselect and find a place where they are more comfortable. So it may be, we always have a statement, you can't change people, but you can change people. And if the team you have is not getting you where you want to go, you have every right to make a change.
Oh, I like that. That was excellent. You know, as a younger dentist, I didn't like the idea of core values because I thought it was too frou-frou and it was too vague. And I was like, oh, okay, we're performing high value, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't feel like it meant anything. And it took a little bit of coaching for me to actually accept that there is such a thing as relevant core values. And once we did, that became one of the easiest ways for us to create accountability in our office. And so for those of you who are like I was, take a second and think about what are the things important. Create those core values as a team. Thank you for so much. Thanks for taking your time.
you.
I think a lot of people found you very valuable. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm humbled to be in the presence of these three amazing ladies and the three that were before them. So I have to speak for the guys, and it's just check out this amazing amount of talent and the
everybody
three that we
loves
had
Dr.
just
Cameron.
before here. So thanks, Ankur. I love Ankur too. Is he hot? This guy, dude, is wild.